Let's get this party started. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like it never stops and will never stop. Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you again for gathering with us so that this community keeps on the rhythm going and that we all gain in knowledge shared. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, it's a new format. It's a new format, so everything and anything goes. We're still going to start with questions around now side since most of us in this group, in this community, have that tool or is considering this tool. So we'll always start with that. And if not, if any other questions, we'll go into good conversation, good things that we need to anchor. We're going to really keep and stay focusing on fundamentals. I think beyond anything, this is what everybody builds their business or should build their business on fundamentals. And even in this day and age with AI, fundamentals are shifting. So is the way that we're using them. So we're going to be covering a little bit of everything as it goes. We'll keep the conversation open to any questions you may have. So we'll start with that. Anybody has anything they want to ask around using Now Side before we dive into any other subject? Anything that
Before
they
we
want to
do
share?
get before we do get started, Virgil, do you have or do you want to? I think everybody here is on the list, but I don't know. Richard, I believe, is new. Do you want to have some kind of format to where we still post a link to make sure that everybody's plugged in?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Drop the link in the conversation. We'll keep the same format going. I mean, I'm all about keeping the wheel turning as long as it's not broken. We can improve upon it, and it most likely will adapt to the changes as we go. So, yes, good mention. I forgot about that. For those who are new, everything that we do is shared and captured on a series of links that I'm sharing in the conversation there. We have our how-to newsletter. That won't change. Everything that we do here, you will be able to find in form of recap there. All the documents that I will also build these conversation upon will be available there. We have the team link. So all the conversation, past, present, and future, you will have access to. I'll also be building a little bit more of the course section so you'll be able to follow through that as well in and out of the course. And there's the Virtual Course Library. That one is important for those who are interested in the masterclass, and I've seen some interest on the Facebook group event. So for those who were not aware or didn't see the email going through, we're keeping that momentum going as well. So this Friday will be our first. Go ahead, Robert.
Are you also going to be putting this up on YouTube?
Which one? The masterclass?
Well, these classes at all?
Yeah, everything that we're doing in this 12 p.m. format, I will offer it on YouTube or wherever
So
or any other platform that is accessible. I think we'll discuss a deal together most likely.
So this might sound funny, but why don't you introduce us, brother?
Oh, you caught me off guard there. Well, my name is Virgil Obio, your brand success manager and marketing consultant. And I run this how-to session with my co-host and badass side. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself, Robert, for the second part.
Robert Blakely, better known as the Blakester. Appreciate being here, brother.
Perfect, perfect. So we run these sessions to give back to the community that we are from, network marketers, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and all adventurers in this new digital age. So this is what we do, this is what we come from, and this is what we have to offer for all those timing in. And for those that will be joining us, I hope you'll be many. How does that sound for the first delivery?
I
Thank
love
you. I'll be working on that. And actually, I love the flow and I love the motion that is being created here because unless there's any questions, I'll start on this day conversation and review and reinforcement as well. I would say because I love what you just did there. You put me on the spot, and that also follows through to everything that you have been doing. One of the things that I recommend for those who are not doing it, Robert is taking a very active step on social media, going live. I recommend you time in. I will be following the example because this is what we're meant to do. When we see something great happening, we have to join in. And I hope that every leader in the space or every business network marketer will also keep in that momentum, right? Robert did something over the past weekend and yesterday. I've joined him for his the lost transition job to freedom sessions on on Mondays, 12 p.m. as well, that I strongly recommend you attend. And there we had a very interesting discussion. The whole topic of that session yesterday, just to put it in perspective, Robert, my feedback, and that was great. And it was about using the video asset as part of your conversation. And he led by example the week before and introduced that conversation. So today I'm going to reinforce that conversation through the digital card. By the way, I'm going to be talking to those who were there. We had a very passionate exchange at one point about how we should properly introduce ourselves on a social media platform when joining a group or otherwise. And it was a great moment of truth, an aha moment, because everybody had the right idea. We need a video. The video has to be clear. It has to have a message. It has to have a way for the audience that will be seeing this to engage, to connect, because we were talking about referring, which is what we do here. We refer our colleagues, we refer clients, we exchange services and contact to keep that motion going, right? And everybody timed in with all these important assets that we had to use. And I was there waiting, and nobody mentioned using the digital card, right? And this is where I realized ABC's fundamentals are something that we need to hammer in constantly until it becomes second intention, like it's the direct thing that we react to. Whenever I have to introduce myself in the digital world, I have this digital asset, and that will do everything that it has to do. The video conversation, if I have some, the presentation about my expertise, about my skills, about my my products, or I might offer, right? A strong conversation as well around what we are offering as direct call to action, right? So your digital card, when you set it up properly, is supposed to do all of that information, right? One of the things that I did and that I will be doing here, taking you through this step as well for those who are new into creating digital content and want to know how or want to beat the fear of doing it, right? I'm going to take you through a simple step on how to update this digital card using Canva and also following through what we discussed yesterday, good practices using using the video element. Before we started the meeting, what I did is I used my Zoom as we are discussing right now and recorded myself, presenting myself, just like Robert just had me do, right? Let me share again here properly with sound so that I'll also show you. I will take you through a few steps on, for example, Canva to use that piece of recording to be edited to add a little bit of branding to it, and how from Canva we can bring it back into NowSite and turn it into an asset. All right. So this is what we're going to be doing today. So here, what I'm going to be using is a free version of Canva. So no special privileges or whatnot. So it's only going to be raw tools, right? When you open Canva, when you sign in, this is the welcome interface. It's really intuitive. And this is what I like using this in tandem with everything I'm doing with NowSite, right? Allows me to do quick maintenance. We have a set of templates, and I want those who are going to be taking the masterclass on Friday to get familiar with this interface because we will be using a little bit of it because I find that it has everything that a graphic designer, beginner, or elite would need to get a motion in place, something started. So here, most likely, well, we will be discussing a lot about this option. You can explore it between now and then, but today we're in the video. So you can see that they have preset templates or workspace that you can use. I'm going to click on here, bring that in. It's going to ask me basically which formats we're looking at. Right now, I am going into the landscape mode. And this is one thing that was recommended yesterday also by Gene during our session on Monday with Robert. He did mention that conversation. Keep in mind that you can create content in every format, right? Always keep in mind, at least this is what I want to always keep in mind, the end user. Where do they get to see this first and how does it react on that platform? A lot of what we're doing is going on social media platforms, YouTube being one of them, Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. So keep in mind that because again, preparation is everything. If you have prepared all your assets before coming into this space, then you're not in the exploration mode. You're coming here to execute as I am doing, right? So it start out here. We have just like on now site, all the navigation tools that you need to have basically on the left. So I'm going to go to the upload tab here. When I download things off of Zoom, they are basically recorded in my documents. So if I click open or upload, it's going to start opening up and going through my library. I'm going to go to my documents and I will go to the Zoom recording of, well, my Zoom recording folder here. Boom. And here is the file for today. So here I will grab this and import it. So it's going to import here. Once it has, I can basically drag and drop it here. And you will see that basically at this point, oh, wait here, I'm just going to click, I clicked on the asset just to have the option and set it as background. Oh, wait, wasn't so perfect. So you can see that I shot this today on the Zoom, same format, right? To keep the momentum going. And also it brings back something that Robert put forward, creating your setting. When you're going to be doing these type of things, it's not complicated to do it on a regular basis if you have found the right settings, right? So creating the right settings for you, whatever you're comfortable with. If you're using your phone and you figure out that, well, I just need this amount of distance between me and the phone to have a clear picture, something in the background that I can control, and that's it. And you have that motion that you can start working on. So here you can see at this point, I can play with the simple tools that it offers, right? So you can see here, I was presenting myself.
My name is Virgil Obio,
Can you hear the sound?
marketing consultant and your brand success
Perfect.
manager.
So I was presenting
As such,
myself.
I offer
right?
to guide
It
you
took me a
into
few
putting in
trials,
place
to be honest.
all the
I did
basics
this
and
without a
fundamentals
script,
that you need
just
to
a few
have
points that I wanted to have in
create
place. Go
a
ahead, Robert.
successful online
It's
venture.
difficult to hear you while
So
you're
join me,
speaking twice.
join us
Oh, sorry.
on
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Let me stop that. So, just to come back on what I was saying, I didn't do this with a script, just with point form points that I wanted to hit on, my power points, my pivot points, and I was authentic. And this is one of the things also that Robert Sessions gave me yesterday. Be authentic. Sometimes the fear about camera is being afraid of what you will come across as, right? This is why we shy about that tool, right? Let me say this. If you're authentically you and authentically smiling, you can do no wrong. People will like you or will not, but you will be comfortable in yourself. Right. And this is what basically we are asked to do in this space. Just be authentic. And that is what we also need in the first part of our sales flow conversation. You can't connect with a fake entity. Right. You connect with authentic people.
And if it's a brand, which is one of the conversation that we'll be having also, you want to connect with an authentic brand, something that gives you that feeling of having a human connection behind it, right? Or reflecting the type of human connection you want to join the community, right? So this is important. Here, quick things. And this is usually where I think a lot of people have difficulties in Canva. It's not getting in or moving things. It's getting things out of here, right? And so I'm going to simplify that with you for you today. Very simple. You have your share option here. When you are sharing, these are important to understand, right? And you can see these are icons that we all recognize. If I want to share this to Facebook, then I can. If I want to use it as a link that I can share in conversation, I can. If I want to download it, I can click on it and I have options here. These options will change depending on what you're doing or what you're trying to get. If you're trying to get a gift, then you can switch it. If you're trying to get a still picture, JPEG or PNG, these are the options. PDF, right? And this is one of the reasons why I like this tool, because from one asset, I can flip into different things, right? And this is important for us being agile, right? Network marketers have to be agile by default in every sense of the way. Agile with their budget, agile with their work system, agile with their time, agile with their knowledge, right? And even more so if you want to stay in the zone. You want to be able to pick up things that are easy to pick up fast, and you want to be able to integrate tools that increase you or maximize or optimize your workflow, right? Be careful about that. This was one of the things also that Robert touched on in his post on Friday, the shiny object syndrome. Be careful about that, right? Find a tool that works for you and only add new tools when it falls in the mechanic of your system, right? Find the opportunity that works for you and hammer using or knowing that product, because this is also what you're going to end up delivering, that expertise around that product, right? It makes the conversation and the authenticity of your offer a lot stronger. I hope that came through. I will be testing it anyways, and I will see the result of it. So back to the conversation here. So once you opted, you can download, right? Now, if I download, I go into another set of editing or process of exporting it, maybe for live, streaming, platform live streaming. I can go for YouTube or whatnot. If I want to go straight to website, going back to these options here, you can see the last option here says select all. You can click on that and you'll see you have other options, right? You can explore on that. I'm actually looking at expanding the use of this environment into the classroom approach and using it as a board so that in real time, if I need to bring graphical information or objects to reinforce the demonstration, I will have that. So I want to get familiar with that. You'll see me referring to this tool a lot. And here, lastly, embed, right? So this is one of the things that we are familiar with. This is one of the options that NowSite gives us to embed. And we know that we need basically our HTML code. So I'm going to copy that. And as simple as that, I have what I need. I can come back here. I can go back to my digital card. I can get rid of this marketing asset, which is a video. And I can come back to my snippet code, drag, drop, and place it. And okay. Right. So I want to present myself in a group. I'll send them my digital card. They'll have a clean picture of myself. They'll have an outline of my expertise. They'll have ways to connect me. They'll have display and showcase of skills where they can see more. They'll have a clear offer and they will get to experience me authentically. This has to become a reflex, right? Just like when you're at a convention and they ask you, hey, didn't save. And the only thing here, you have this in the code to correct. Right now, I was using my Canva account under OVRG Apparel. So if this is an issue, I can go back into the code, right? And again, we're not supposed to waste too much time in the coding aspect of it, right? But if there's certain things, simple things that I can change here, then I can give time to that detail, because the devil is into the detail. The perfectionist goes into the detail conversation as soon as he cleared the general framing of what he's trying to create, right? This is where everything goes. So these are things that you can do, right? Very easily. And if this is, for example, going back to Canva, if this is a different asset, right? So here we started with a video. If I go back and say, well, I wanted this to be a presentation, right? Actually, I'll do it as a presentation. Here, and this is great, for example, for those who have products that they want to display and they want, for example, to have a carousel of things. Let me just see how I can do this. Okay, I'll go to my uploads. I will, okay, do this here. This is something that we will get to cover. Often enough, in my conversations in the past, in my one-on-ones, I was often asked, okay, how is it that you react so fast to inquiries? How is it that you're so expert at delivering the right information? Well, it's because, well, I'll put this, here it. This will be more than enough for this example. So this is a presentation format, right? Coming back to what I wanted to double down on, the embed option. So share, I have all the same options. Here I can even select which frame I want to share out if I want to. I'll just go to the, I download it. I'm just going to go to the embed here. And you'll notice that for the embed, sorry, making a little bit too fast. You'll notice that if I try embedding this, it's going to react a little bit different. It's not going to be a video. Since the other one was a video asset, this is going to be a presentation. But since I have many panels, and here, for example, I will do this here so we can see the difference in the reaction.
I'm here.
So, perfect. Here, and publish. And I'm going to preview. So for those, for example, who have multiple products, multiple offers that they want to coach people through, well, they can use these type of presentation, and we have that scroll effect. As long as the conversation aligns with everything that will be displayed in that scroll effect, right? So that's one of the things when you're embedding, depending on your starting template, the reaction at the end will be different. But as it is for the end products, this is what you get, right? And
Welcome, and thank you for joining me.
in a few
My name is Virgil Obillo,
right?
marketing
So,
consultant
again, I
and your
use
brand success
nothing
manager.
that
As
was,
such, I offer to guide you
again,
into
I use nothing that was a paid tool. Yeah, I forget. I used nothing that was a paid tool. I did nothing that I had to do extra or that I wasn't doing already, right? I turn on my Zoom for these conversations. I turn on my Zoom for meetings. I've recorded meetings before. Nothing has changed but the intent and the discipline, right? I need to present myself professionally. It's a show of skill and a presentation that I can't go around in this digital social media networking era, right? I need that piece of marketing. And it's all the tools that are required to do quick editing, quick embedding are here. So the next step is us getting in motion of doing that. Question? Straightforward.
No, I like that. And, if everybody's paying attention, what you did was you just showed everybody how to use Canva to create a little video asset. So you don't have to use YouTube. You don't necessarily have to have a Dillo or anything like that. So I love that you did that. And for everybody that's following along, as you mentioned, if you're not part of the Lost Transition, highly recommend that you are. That's my personal group. We go live there every Monday for Monday Masterminds. The way that this is turning out, it's actually, I look at it as quite the blessing between Virgil and I, because now Virgil and I can coincide with stuff. So Monday, we're going to have Monday Masterminds. Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be able to have these how-to Tuesdays and Wednesdays with you guys, teach you how to use some of the other tools that are out there. And then, of course, either one of us do have personal coaching that we can assist you with as well. So I'm loving the direction. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong or not, Virgil, but we're going to be doing at least one assignment per month on a Friday, I believe is the way we.
Yeah.
So we'll have something structured, and then it'll be an event to where this is something that you guys will have to complete. And I really love that the way that this is coming together, because I believe that it's a great way for us to be able to help as many people as we can as the community. So that being said, there's a few faces in here. Justina, appreciate you being here, and some of you guys that have jumped in the room. Feel free to invite your now site people. Like if you have a downline, they need help too. One of the biggest reasons that we're doing this is because of the fact that now site might have gotten rid of the affiliate program, but there's plenty of people out there in now site that still need help, right? So we're here to help as many people as we can. Plain and unobstructed, and be here, be next to the fire, and you'll actually learn something and move the needle on your business. So thank you. That I yield. Rita, what you got?
Hi. Question about the link. Like if you wanted to share your business card link, that's the one that shows up in our menu, in our websites.
Yep.
So
exactly.
that link, right?
Exactly. That is when we are in this space in our marketing account or any other type of tool that is allowing us to create this digital type asset. These are the end results that we're gunning for, right? Because in the end, this is what we get to share. And everywhere where there's a text, a DM, direct message opportunity, everywhere where there's a post opportunity, where everywhere there's a description in which you can put something, then these start belonging there, right? They actually belong in any introduction company that we're using when we're marketing.
And do me a favor, not to interrupt you, Rita, but do me a favor, Virgil, and kind of tie and close the loop with what I'm talking about personal branding attached to your contact card.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beyond the conversation around Canva that we had here, the main important one that I wanted to hammer down on is what this asset is doing for you. It's an extension of your brand. It's an extension of you, right? Because all this, for example, for those who are here, you'll notice the change of color, right? That I applied to this marketing asset. It's the same one that I keep referring to, right? And here is the follow-up to your presentation. We're actively doing this on social media, and these media are accessed on the phone. So when people get to click on these links, they get to go directly to these social media pages. And we need to make sure that the conversation is constant from one asset to the other. Your branding has to be aligned to continue that impulse that you're creating. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, part of what I'm talking about, right, is yours and mine are slightly different, but what I want people to notice is that up in the URL that's highlighted up top, it says Virgil Masterclass Card, right? So there is some form of identification or branding being his name Virgil, right? What I'm talking about too, and mine is slightly different because mine is on robertblakely.com or .now.site / contact us. I'm just saying to have some kind of tie into your brand is what I'm getting at. Don't have a contact card that doesn't have your name within the URL. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at with that branding piece. You can have a separate contact card like what we're showing you here. That's totally up to you. I personally would rather have it underneath my contact us so that my full name is there. Again, just driving home more of the branding component is what I'm getting at. Make sure that they match, make sure that there's alignment. You don't want it to be like, I don't know, different name. and you're sending them to a contact card, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is actually one of the things that we're going to cover during the coming up masterclass, and one of the things that most likely I'm going to start elaborating on tomorrow. Today, I showed Canva as a reference to the tool that we're going to be using, but part of the conversation that we're going to be having is the brand DNA, the defining name and attributes that you bring, that you put forward out there, right? And the link is an echo of that. You can't basically be talking about a topic and having conversation in what you're using to refer to this space, going or talking about something else, right? The alignment of your conversation is important, right? And this idea of branding yourself properly before even talking about a logo, because that brand DNA, that brand conversation, that brand makeup starts before anything, right? What are you called? What are you like? All right? What do you sound like? DNA is about that, right? And often enough, we forget that element. And your DNA, once you are made, doesn't change. The continuation of that conversation, right? Often enough, for example, I think that was the biggest issue that we were having, anchoring what I was constantly saying about the business profile, right? They're doing something here. Let me just free file there. When I'm saying that everything starts with the business profile and now site, and everything around that conversation. Well, I'm not sure what is happening here. Most likely going to an update. But when I was saying that everything revolves around the what, the who, the how, well, this was me referring to your brand DNA. Right? What is this we're talking about? Who is this for? How do they get it? Right? These are essential points that are part of your DNA. What are you called? What do you do? Well, you do it for people, you do it for yourself. Right? Who are the people that are liking it? Right? How do they recognize you? Where do they go to get your service? That falls into this acquisition, conversation, conversion, retention, right? All these conversation points are part at one point of the DNA makeup of your brand. Right, but we're going to focus on coming back to that basic so that everybody understands that when you're picking a business name for a product, for offer, there's a simple process, that simple framework that you want to apply, or a thought process that you want to follow, which is even made easier with AI now. But you need to understand what you're asking and what you're doing and expecting as an end result. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, I just want to second what you're talking about, because what Virgil's talking about right there, and I don't know, how experienced you are in marketing, but that's a big factor. When you know and you understand who your target market is and who you're looking for, now it presents a different angle, if you will. So now you're not just out there shooting in the dark. There's light. You know who you're shooting at, right? And if you go, and one of the things that I tell my students a lot, and they know this, I'll have to talk to less people to do just as many conversions as you or anybody else in this room, only because I'm talking to the right people. So you want to find out who are the right people for your business, your product, your opportunity, and try to be exclusive to talking to them. I'm not saying don't have conversations with people, in general, but once you understand who that target market is, you'll start identifying that person and you'll see them. And then you'll be able to identify, oh, this person is somebody that I should be able to talk to. So very important for you to understand who your avatar is and how to find them, the whole DNA makeup structure, all those things like what he was just talking about. Absolutely.
It's
great stuff.
It's essential, and it's grease for your will at connection, right? Just like Robert said. I mean, when you know what somebody is like, it's easier to talk to them than when you do not know what to expect from them at hello. Well, this guy, he might blow up if I say hello. Or this guy, when you say hello, he says hello back. It's great to talk to him. Right? Same thing. When you know your clients, when you're talking to them, you know exactly the effect that you have already because you have that client avatar built into your conversation. Go ahead.
So I was just thinking that right now might be a great time for me to throw in a quick little training for everybody. Those of you that have been in my school or been through my 5-day boot camp know this, but those of you that are new to this, I think that this will help you out because it's something that I've been teaching for 20 plus years. And here's how it works. Super simple. A lot of people, especially those of us that are in here, have this overwhelm when it comes to sales because they think, oh my God, you got to talk to all these different people and there's going to be so many different personalities. When realistically, there's only 3 that you need to be concerned about. So I want to teach you those real quickly. And when you understand what I'm telling you right now, it'll help you make more sense of things. Okay. So, and I wish I had my diagrams, but I don't. So you're going to have to visualize this and write down, take notes. Okay. A lot of times the way that this was always presented is normally when I would go and I would hire a bunch of people. What would happen is I would have everybody go into an orientation, right? And we would train them all on this one thing. And that is simply, I would go through and I would say, okay, well, how long have you been in sales? How long have you been in sales? Get all these different answers. And I would say, and let's do this here now since we're talking about it. In the chat, without cheating, if you know the answer, don't cheat. How many different types of customers do you think you would run into on a daily basis? Drop it in the chat. 1, 5, 10. What do you think? How many different types of customers? Okay, Dorea says 2, Vicky 3, OC 7, Rita 3. Okay. Some of you guys know. Yeah. Dina 5, Jackie 4. Okay, cool, perfect. So here's where I want to make life simpler for everybody. Realistically, the number is 3. There's only 3 different types of personalities that you're ever going to run into. And if you understand what I'm getting ready to explain to you, it's going to make your life so much simpler. And I'm going to make it so that you can't forget this ever. Okay. So the first type of customer, I need you to write this down. I know it's going to seem funny, but write this down. First type of customer is what I call the simple customer. SIMPLE. Simple customer. We can identify those people typically because they don't have a lot of knowledge. They are very trusting. They're very open to things. They don't ask a lot of questions. Obviously, as the name implies, they're very simple. How do we remember that customer? We equate them to a fruit. And that fruit, my friends, is the apple. Okay. How do you eat an apple? Pretty simple, right? Brush it off, wash it off, take a bite out of it. The second type of customer you're ever going to run into is what I call simple but complex. Simple but complex. Now, these are the types of people that have a little bit more education. They have a little more knowledge. You may have a little bit of resistance when talking to them. They may even give you 1 or 2 objections. The fruit we're going to equate those to is the orange, my friends. How do you eat an orange? You have to peel back that outer layer. Then you expose the orange. Now you can break it apart. Now you can ingest, right? The third type of customer that I teach is what we call complex but simple. So almost like the second one, we're going to flip those words around, complex but simple. These are the people that have a lot of experience, the ones that live in the multi-million-dollar mansions, the ones that, will give you tons and tons of objections. They may give you 3 to 5 objections, but if you answer the objections right with confidence, they'll believe in you. And that's why I say they're complex. They act complex, but when you understand how to deal with that customer, they then become very simple. So you have your apples, your oranges, and your coconuts. Now, what I want you to do moving forward from today, the next person you talk to, I want you to think through your conversation. Is this person an apple, an orange, or a coconut? Now, if you do that enough times, you're going to start seeing what I love to call what we have patterns, right? We as humans have patterns. We're creatures of habit. So what you're going to start noticing is that all those simple customers, all those apples are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be saying the same things. They're even going to give you the same objections if they have any. Then you'll see that the oranges will do the same thing. And then you'll see that the coconuts will do the same thing. And if you get really good at this, you can have somebody say something and be like, oh, yep, that's an orange. Oh, yep, that's an apple. Oh, yep, that's a coconut. Everybody with me? Raise your hand. Yes. I'm telling you, this is one of the things that literally helped catapult my closing from 50% to 70 to 80%. So knowing your customer avatar, and then when you're talking to that avatar, well, what type of avatar are they? Are they the apple, the orange, or the coconut? And then think about that. Well, if I identify that they're a coconut, I want to slow down. I want to slow down, take my time, let them ask questions, let them throw whatever they want at me with no regards to trying to rush them across the finish line. Make sense? If they're the apple, hey, apple, all right, you ready to go? Let's go. You lead the apples. You're there for the oranges, and you work with the coconuts. There you go, my friends. And on that, I yield. You're welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like everything that is in the three approach. Why? Because it's so simple to remember. 1, 2, 3.
It's a magic number,
and
man. Universal number.
It is
9, baby.
Yeah. And it allows you to have also a rhythm in your mind when you're doing these things, right? And that's so important in the idea of staying in the flow of your work, staying in the flow of the conversation, right? Breaking it down to that perspective, make things simple. And the difference between each one of these type of customers in the end, or I should say, or rephrase that, the difference into making a connection which each type of these type of customers is in you, the knowledge of your product, the knowledge of who they are or what you expect from who they are. And that makes the conversation authentic, clear as well, and engaging. Right? Because, for example, coming back to the complex but simple, complex is okay, you have a lot of questions. Simple, I have a lot of answers for you. And we'll take your time.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Right? You have questions, no problem. I got my Q&As.
But so many people, right, they're just worried about that sale. That's where they screw up. That's where they overtalk and turn the customer off or not recognize when that customer is above the buying line and taking them through the checkout, right? So yeah, I love it. Great stuff.
Last time we had this conversation around overturning objections, the first thing that I put forward is that objections are actually a great thing, right? So out of all these three types, you would have a great connection with the complex one because they're the one that would challenge everything about your product. And every overturned question, it's not even an objection, or every fulfilled question, every answers will only build expertise and connection. Right? And guess what?
You're 100% right about that. And once everybody in here really understands that, they'll know how to avoid those objections altogether.
That's it. That's it. And that is where that rhythm is so important. Because how do you get to see these red flags or these flags? They're not even red at this point, right? These conversation flags pop up, right? And conversation flags is something that we most likely will go back into and come over and because conversation is at the center of everything that we're doing. And seeing the flags, good flag, opportunity flag or double opportunity flag, right, will be important. And we have a master in this space with Robert. We definitely want to take advantage of that, right? Even if in the end, it's our experience, our field experience, meaning the things that we hear, the things that we absorb will only manifest itself when we go out there and practice, right? Only by practicing do we get that rhythm, because then we get to note these reactions, these flags, and how we can avoid them or actually use them. I know he's going to say this. I'm going to use that to slingshot this conversation into the closing type. All right. So knowing your product is important. Knowing your customer is equally important. That allows you to be authentic and allows you, regardless of the scale, because in the end, when you're comfortable with simple but complex, or complex but simple, you are not afraid of going to any direction in any conversation. You will adjust to the rhythm of it, right? Just like Robert said, if you are, I have to take this time with you, whether quick time, rapid fire, boom, 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 or slow time, build up, right? Love also the jewels that I got from Rita, from her approach and demeanor in this conversation. Often enough, listening is so much of a key factor, right? Giving the chance or giving the time that the client, simple, complex, or simple, complex but simple, needs to express that emotion, allowing you to address it, right? So this is important. Remove the negative weight that you give, or the connotation, the negative connotation to objections, right? And welcome them as connection. Because if I'm asking you something about what you said, or fighting it, is because I was in the conversation the whole time with you, and this is a win, right? And as we said, understanding the process or practicing it will make you avoid certain things or build upon it. You have your hand up, Robert? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just kind of want to touch on what Jorge said here in the chat. And I'm not beating you down or anything like that, Jorge, trust me. But when things like this come up, I want to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music. Jorge put in there, he says, objection equals a level of interest. That's not actually true. Okay. Technically, if somebody gives you an objection, it's because it's, number one, it's an excuse. It's an excuse to get away from you and what you're telling them. It's because you didn't give them enough value, or you didn't build trust fast enough. And I'll tell you just a quick little story as an example. What I used to do if I was doing door to door, I knew I did not want to talk to the person unless they were inside their house. I wanted to knock on the door, make sure they were inside the house so that they could open. Now they can't go anywhere. Right? I have them there. But if they're outside, I did not want to talk to them. I'm not going to ask you if you can figure out why. But if they were outside, what I would do is I would acknowledge that they were there, and I would keep walking. I would mark my sheet that, they were outside. Next time I came around, when they were inside, then I would knock on the door. Can anybody guess why? Gene, go ahead.
Because they might be more relaxed and welcoming, opening the door for somebody than being outside when they're busy doing something and you're walking up on them.
Exactly. And Janice says distraction. Exactly that. If they're outside, odds are they're in the middle of doing something. Maybe they're cutting the grass or whatever else. If I go and I interrupt what that person's doing, automatic objection. I'm busy. Right? This is what we're talking about. When we learn and we understand these things and what that customer is actually doing, we can avoid those altogether. I avoided the I'm busy's all day long just by not going and interrupting the person with what they were doing. Now I go knock on the door. That's a different story. Now I know they're there. They're relaxing, like Virgil's saying. They might come to the door and say, I'm busy there too. Right? But you're less poised and way more. It's easier for you to talk to that person once they're in the house versus outside in the wild. Right? So an objection, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. You want those objections so that you can learn how to overcome them. Once you learn how to overcome them, you can literally walk all the way around them. You don't even have to see them. Guys, I get very, very minute objection and minute objections. Very minute. So I yield.
Yeah, go ahead, Gene, you want to add to this?
Well, I want to ask Robert if he'll also share about how you can ask questions or pose statements that are overcoming the objections before they even ask, because you have a set defined list of objections you normally have to overcome in the first place.
Yeah, that's called answering objections in advance. So if you know what's already going to happen, then you put that as part of your presentation. As an example, is say, well, most people that I talk to, they might scoff at the $150 that it costs, but that everybody else says it's way worth it, you know? Because if you know that they're going to talk about that 150 resistance point, then throw it in there and overcome the objection ahead of time, then they won't even say anything. The big thing, right, is, and I say this quite a bit, the customer or the consumer only knows what you tell them. That's it. And if they're an orange or a coconut, then they're going to ask questions. So it's your job, your mission to know what the answers to those questions are. Like Virgil said, oh, you got a million questions? I got a million answers. If you answer.
Hello? Am I still with you guys, or did we lose him?
No, Robert
Robert
froze.
froze.
Okay. So definitely, I mean, the one thing that is the most important takeaway here is that you should not fear objection. You should learn how to handle them. If before engaging somebody, you need to make sure that they're in the comfort zone, then do so. And it should be what leads any conversation, because unless I'm practicing some kind of reverse psychology where I want to create a negative reaction and then try to flip it into positive things for me, unless this is what I'm doing, you always want to make sure that the connection happens when the audience is the most comfortable. That's very important.
You know,
right?
funny
And
enough,
I think,
you
go
know,
ahead.
funny enough, and some of you may not believe me, but the others will believe me. The amount of power that you have when you understand the psychology of things and how people work is absolutely fascinating. You may not believe me, but I would be able to go to somebody's door, invite myself into their house, and start looking through their cabinets. No word of a lie. To help them find their bill or whatever it was. Oh, well, it's normally over here. You mind if I help you look? I'd be able to go into anybody's house, use their restroom, get food. We used to even teach our agents that everything that you need while you're out there in the field is right on the other side of that door. But the problem is that many people get scared, right? They get afraid to ask. And what does it say in the Bible, my friends? Ask and you shall what? But if you never ask, you're never gonna what? Right? But you can't ask ahead of time before explaining what that person needs to know. So if you take the time and explain it properly, they're going to be the ones that are going to say, you know what, that sounds great, Virgil. How do I sign up?
Lots of ads that can't be
That's what you're
closed.
looking for.
I've said it 1,800 times.
That
Activate this button to
Nobody has
completely.
their mic on.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so that's my two
it's
cents.
it's important again, this is gold, and it's important to understand because this all happens at the point of connection, right? This all happens at the point of connection, right?
Hey,
Objection.
Another one. Jorge
Go
says, is I'm not interested in objection. It is an objection, but think, well, why are they not interested? Probably because you came up to them at the wrong time, like what I was explaining. They were outside their car, there wasn't enough value. One of the things that I like to kind of teach my students, they know about this, the whole Tom and Jerry effect, right? Our mission is to be like Tom, where he's just piquing that person's interest. You want that other person to be nosy about what it is that you're doing. If they're nosy about what it is that you're doing, then it's easy to draw them in. But if they're not nosy, they don't care. Well, now you're trying to interrupt their life and jump into their world, right? So a not interested just means the approach was indirectly, like it wasn't correct at the time. Doesn't mean it was bad. You might have caught that person, maybe they just had a fight with their wife or, whatever the circumstance may be, right? And it's just the setting that you're in. But just them saying I'm not interested doesn't mean no. It just means not right now. That's what that
That is, yeah, that is so important. That's something that I wanted to double down on before we end this session. For an answer, to judge an answer and the real value of it, you have to also understand at which time you received it, right? Because that's one of the first things that popped into my head when that question was asked. It depends. Because tell me, if you're getting that I'm not interested at the end of your presentation, it means that you made the connection, you got to make the presentation and got you're not interested. What happened during the presentation? If you got the I'm not interested before you even got to make the presentation, then what happened in the moment of connection? How did you read the conversation or the audience before engaging with the presentation? Right? Because I'm not interested only comes after an offer was made.
Well, I like that.
Right.
And sometimes it can come before, but you're absolutely right. And I love what you're saying there.
Mm-hmm.
If you do get a not interested at the very end, you did something wrong within your presentation. You weren't paying attention to the body language or what that person was saying at the time. You didn't overcome the objections that they needed you to overcome. That's
exactly. It's just like also for me, going back to that previous answer, the nature of the objections, right? Because these are higher tiers of conversation that we'll get into because there's something in terms of, and I'm going to sit down with Robert to build that, a sales hack to conversation that we should have, things that we know we should practice so that we implement them quickly. Because even me, for example, when we talked about objection going back today, is what type of objections? Because there are objections that are excuse right there. Excuse because I need to get away from this conversation, right? There are other objectives that are, okay, you just said something there and I'm using this product. How does it compare? Right? And that is a different level of conversation. So always understand also these larger concepts within the frame work that you're in, the moment when they happen. But also remember that they all operate on a set of basics, right? Regardless of the situation, there's something about not interested that we need to understand. It falls back onto what exactly were we offering? Who are we talking to? How was it offered? What was the rollout? Because maybe the not interested had I really like your product, but it's too expensive for me. I'm not interested.
You know what's funny?
I like it, but I'm not interested because I can't pay for it. Go ahead.
I'm thinking about all these answers to objections. You want to know the answer to objection that we used to say when somebody would tell me I'm not interested? I said, no, we don't collect interest. We're not a bank. Anyway, like I was saying. Yeah, the object of that is to what you're doing is you're stunning that person, giving them a response that they don't expect. A lot of times in the sales world, they'll say, I'm not interested, and that salesperson might curl their tail between their legs and say, okay, and turn around. Or they'll say something stupid like, well, why aren't you interested? Which is the worst answer to objection that you can ever come up with. But yeah, that was one of them. We used to say, oh, "I'm not interested." No, we're not a bank. We don't collect interest. Like I was saying, my name is Robert, and then we'd go right back into the presentation. That was the point. You'd have to be able to stun them and then know your presentation well enough to go right back where they tried to interrupt you at, and then regain control of that whole conversation. So that was one of them. You guys could put that one in your pocket if you like.
My offer additionally to that is sometime, well, I found that when you're not, when you say, and I'll put myself in the seat of the people that react like that. Most of the time, when I'm reacting in the night, not interested, is that you approached me at a moment where I didn't want or wasn't ready, or approached me in a way that had a flag raised. You were so hot, ready for the sale, that I smelled business already happening. So before you even got to say hello, because there's something that you can't say, I'm not interested to. Hi, with a smile, my name is. I'm just presenting myself. I was about to wish you a great day. That was the stunning effect, right? That you created with that first answer, stunning the conversation back. This is mastery. But as a beginner, one clear thing is, well, if you came at me the right way, if I was too quickly, and this is something that we experience on the in the physical world, it's a little different in the digital with certain variables, right? Because, for example, if I send you a DM right away and you reply right away, it means that you're active, right? And that is something for me. It's like saying, hey, hello, and the date stop, right? If I send you a DM, but you don't react today, tomorrow, the day after, but you don't block me, it means that there's a buildup to have, right? It's not a negative thing, right? So very important. Keep that in mind. Everything that we do will revolve around these basics. Understand and track your work so that you understand, when did I receive this? I'm not interested. And how did it happen? What was the real nature of that objection? And when did that objection start? Did it start before the hello or after I presented 3 features missing the mark on the client's need? I'm not interested. While I'm talking to you about my social media presence. You keep talking to me about websites. Websites are websites. How do you help me with this social media thing? We'll get to the website after if you talk to that. All right. So these are the conversation, right? Understand at what point you're getting this objective, what the nature of the objective is. And this also falls back into, okay, knowing your client. Right? Because if I'm asking you, if I'm engaging you in conversations that don't allow for objections, then I'm overturning everything before it even comes to front. Go ahead, Gene. Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm never in a hurry. I don't like people rushing to get to me when I got my hands up. I remember on a training one time when someone was talking about getting the I'm not interested on the introduction. One of the comeback similar to what Robert did was that he'd either say, I'm not looking for a date, or I'm not looking to buy you drinks. And that again would get a chuckle out of them sometimes. And then you change your state, as Robert jokes about or talks about. And so sometimes you just throw a little zinger if you get I'm not interested right at your intro, that can lighten the mood too.
Yeah. And on a positive.
In fact,
go ahead.
That was another answer to objection that we would do. If somebody said right away, and this will help Jorge will love this. If we walked up and they say they're not interested, that's exactly what we would do, Gene. We say, that's fine, we're not interested anyway. My name is Robert, and then again, going boom, right back into the script. The ideal is, as I mentioned before, it's just to hit them with a stunner. It's like a boxing match, right? If they say I'm not interested, they're taking the swing. You got to kind of dodge, parry, and punch. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love that.
There's one
give me
good
memories,
thing.
Man.
Yeah, I see you're getting the zone. There's one good thing or one takeaway that in all this conversation we overlooked, right? I'm not interested. Even if it happens at hello, you know what? I acknowledged you enough to talk to you. Because when I'm really not interested, I keep walking, keep talking. And that is where there's nothing to grasp on. This guy just, man, I felt like I didn't exist. Well, I was not interested, not even a hello, nothing. Keep
Literally, bro,
talking. I'm
there's
walking.
so many
Right?
memories that are rushing through my head right at this particular point, man. And I could go on, but I don't know. In the interest of time,
Exactly.
Well,
So, well, let's take it this way. We will get time. Today we're
Tomorrow?
ending, but this show is going on. Tomorrow we're going on, and maybe not this week, but next week I will open up a Thursday so that we can talk about these type of things because they are important in the conversation as much as the tech things that we want to cover Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? I think it's important because knowing how to behave is also part of knowing how to use our marketing tool,
well, I don't know if
right?
I
And this
want
is
to learn how to
important.
behave, bro.
Sorry.
I don't know if I want you to teach me how to behave. I'm kidding. Dr. Lisa, my friend. Dr. Lisa, you're up.
I have made a little progress on my card. I just wanted to know if you want to take a peek um,
Go ahead.
now.
I love it. You know what? So far, she's the only one volunteering. I feel some voluntoling coming up, if I pronounce that right. But we're gonna have to share as well, right? I'll share
Do you
mine.
want,
I'm going like, go ahead. Do
do you
you put
want
it in the
to, I was
link?
going to say, do you want to end the recording?
Yeah, we'll end the recording now.
And we'll see everybody here tomorrow. Stick around though, because we're going to look at Dr. Lisa Singletary's contact card. Unless you don't want to take a look
Oh
at
yeah,
it.
we'll start with that tomorrow, full analysis. Okay, perfect. And again, thank you guys for joining. And I wish to see you tomorrow. I hope to see you tomorrow. And we're getting ready for Friday. That one's going to be good.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye bye.